Good morning and welcome to the fourth hour. It's really great to have you along this morning. Let's see what I've got. I want to start with some local news because we had that shooting at the Empire Mall here in Sioux Falls over the weekend. And some follow up regarding this. Suspect has been arrested, and I'll get more on that in a moment. So this is from Dakota News Now. They talked to folks who were out there, and they're talking about hearing gunshots. We heard two gunshots. Everyone just started running. They were confused, but no one really knew anything, didn't know what to do. Another who said we were walking in and we heard a bunch of shots. So we ran, we got pretty scared. And yeah, a lot of people were just running away. There was a lot of panic, as you might imagine. There were a couple of shots that were fired. By the way, this was not someone who was in there. Sioux Falls police have made an arrest, and it certainly looks like they know what was, or at least they have a theory as to what was happening. They arrested a suspect on Saturday, 18-year-old Jaden Michael Justice Bingham. So he was booked into the jail on Saturday. We'll likely be learning more today, and we'll be hearing more. So police were out at the Empire Mall. This was 7:30 on Friday night. And the chief of police, John Toom, said that there were no injuries reported from the shooting. Shell casings were found. And so they found the suspect then on Saturday morning. But there was exactly what was happening. I think we don't have the details about that yet, but there was nobody who was actually injured from the shooting. Shots were fired, but nobody actually injured, which is good news. But I understand why you had folks who were running out of the Empire Mall. There was no, I hadn't. I did not see this. This is from Edgy. Did you see the piece that Fox News ran over the weekend about the Dakotas having quite a bit of political influence in the coming year? No, I haven't seen. I have seen some national pieces. I didn't see the Fox News piece. In fact, I have talked about it on the show because you've got, also North Dakota governor former Doug Burgum of North Dakota, who will be playing a role in the Trump administration. You've got Kristi Noem, and as well as others. But no, I didn't see the Fox News piece. I comb the news pretty well on Monday mornings, but there were some comments from the mayor, and these have really been stuck in my head over the course of the last few days. About the mayor talked about this last week. This last week, that Sioux Falls Mayor Paul Tenakin was talking about this being a divisive time for politics. And he said, why don't we just put some of that anger aside and say, okay, culture issues aside, what's the basic blocking and tackling we have to do to keep up with a city that's growing 5,000 to 6,000 people a year? And keeping a couple of books out of our library is not probably high on our priority list. And I understand where he's coming from here. The comments that the mayor made, I really caught my attention. And I mentioned them on Friday, and I've been reflecting on them over the weekend, still reflecting on them today. That I appreciate what the mayor is saying. Culture issues aside, what are things we need to be focusing on? I think that really is a question that is that a lot of us should be reflecting on. What are the things that, there's a lot of divisiveness, and there are a lot of things to be upset about. So there are things personally that maybe I'm upset about, but in terms of what I am saying, publicly is something altogether different, I think. Um, and I don't know if the mayor's comments just impacted me that way, or if others are having the same kind of reaction, because I appreciate what the mayor's saying, because he's saying, yes, these culture issues, they're out there. We understand that. But in this, and he was talking specifically about this upcoming legislative session, what are really the things that need, what's the basic blocking and tackling, as the mayor says, that needs to be done so that we can move forward as a state, and so that we can allow our cities like Sioux Falls to be able to move forward. I understand one of the problems in South Dakota is that Sioux Falls, the issues in Sioux Falls are not everybody's issues, and as you get out and around the state, in fairness. But what the mayor has said really has been, I've been reflecting on that a lot over the course of the last couple of days. There's some other stories that I wanted to share with you as well this morning. The Russia saying they have had no contact with Donald Trump or his team. This is new today. The Kremlin saying this, that they have had no contact with Donald Trump or his team, because Trump made some, after meeting with Vladimir Zelensky then over the weekend, talking about ending the war. And Trump had made some comments that Russia is open to talks, but they have to be based on agreements. Yeah, there a lot of this is blah, 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 I think. Trump, I thought, with the comments that he made meeting with Zelensky, and that Zelensky is open and wanting it to end, he also wants some kind of guarantee that it's not just going to start up again, that you will not see things heat up again. So, okay, we'll agree to, it's got to be more than just a ceasefire. So there has to be, they need to be able to reach some agreement. And whether Donald Trump is the guy who will be able to get us there or not remains to be seen. I think Trump, again, and I talked about this on the air this morning, just a lot of things that Donald Trump is going to have to be on top of in a 4-year period. We're asking a lot. And this is why I was really great to see the story from the Washington Examiner about Senator John Thune, and saying that they're going to have more working days in the Senate this year. A lot more working days in the Senate on the calendar, which is good news, that they are already ready and rolling up their sleeves, and that once they start the new session of Congress and the Senate, that they will not get any time off then until March. So that, I think, is good. You have people, the election of Donald Trump has people gearing up, and they're ready to begin the hard work of trying to fix the mess that America is right now. And that's encouraging and very kind of uplifting, I think. The question is, to how long is that going to remain? How long are people going to be ready to say, hey, we have got to keep going? I think there are a great number of people that love our country and are willing to do that hard work. And so you and I will figure it out, I think, fairly shortly. I think as the new year and the new session of Congress gets into play and we begin to see what's going on, as we learn more and more, see more and more, it's going to become very obvious. And I think that's already clear. Democrats are overwhelmingly just lost. And that's the story that I'm seeing in place after place that in comments that folks are making. Excuse me, I got a cough here. Excuse me for that. More and more seeing that. Steve, Steve with his comments. My biggest hope: do away with daylight saving time. I hope you're being facetious about that being your biggest hope. Steve said it's only divisive if you disagree with the majority. Putting porn in the kids section of the library is really only divisive if you think it's a good idea. Yeah, there's a lot of craziness that's out there. This is why I really, in terms of what I talk about on the show, I'm trying to stick with the things going back to the mayor's comments. What are the big kind of the basic block and tackle, kind of things that you need to be doing in order to move America's agenda forward. And there's a lot of nonsense that's out there. And I think what you need are disciplined people who can ignore the nonsense. And you got to be able to say, these are the things that really, in terms of governing, right? You and I are not going to always be avoiding the nonsense. But I'm talking about in terms of governing. That's what the mayor is saying. That in terms of governing, let's do the basic things and make sure we get these things done. And then being able to move the ball forward versus a lot of other things that are being kind of divisive and so on. Kathy's making a great comment here. She said, I truly hope that now being out from under Mitch McConnell's thumb, John Thune will go back to being more South Dakota than Washington. I'm hopeful about that as well, Kathy. And I have been hoping for the same kind of thing. I hope we see John Thune now become who he is, and that you and I will see who he is. And so that's one of the reasons I mentioned that piece from the Washington Examiner earlier this morning on the air is because, and it's a great piece there, as they're talking about Senator Thune increasing the number of working days. He wants the Senate in session much more than they have been. So they will not get a day off until March, then their first day off. And that's which means they're going to be, he wants them in session 5 days a week, not 2 days a week, which is a lot of what they've been doing. So you show up late on Monday, you're in session on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday you're already leaving to go back home. He wants the Senate in session 5 days a week. Those kinds of things, I think, will send a message loud and clear to the American people. And if you're there and you're actually working and you're actually being productive, like the mayor was saying, the basic block and tackling, if you're doing those things and you're doing it, you're there 5 days a week, boom, getting those things done. And I think it's going to take a lot more than just that. There is just a lot to be done. And again, Donald Trump is only there for 4 years. He's got a 4-year term. And so 2 years in, then he becomes the so-called the lame duck. I think Donald Trump is, based on that interview that he did with Kristen Welker and everything that he's been saying, even beyond that, I think Donald Trump is taking that very, very seriously. He wants to correct the border. He wants to, he talked about groceries, on the cost of groceries on that NBC interview on Meet the Press over the weekend. So what you're paying when you go to the supermarket, he understands life on Main Street. And that's what's so absolutely incredible, that, here is a guy that is obviously, he's not out there shopping at Fairway Foods like I am. He's not out there doing those things, but he understands that. He understands it. He gets it. That to me is what separates Donald Trump from so many of these other wealthy politicians, and especially those on the left. You see, they get wealth and they absolutely have left middle America behind. And this is why the Democrats are just so incredibly lost right now. They don't know where to start, where to begin. There was a piece I had this morning. I don't know if I can find it. I may not be able to find it. Oh, here we go. Nope. Okay, this is a Democratic pollster. I have so much of all this stuff in the morning. This is a Democratic pollster talking about Democrats being doomed if they don't change their tactics. Where was this story? New Jersey, NJ.com. So this is a man who is the head of the Bergen-based TIP poll. Consistently leads the pack when it comes to accuracy. And he knew all of these things. He predicted that Trump would win the popular vote. And he was the only person to do so. Democrats are just walking around, what happened? Totally out of it. When Hillary Clinton said, this was like a year, this was during the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton asked, why aren't I ahead by 50 points? And he knew it. He knew that Donald Trump was going to win. Because the polling that he does it's not the traditional polling. He gets focus groups together. They meet people on the street. They go out because, folks, cell phones, landline phones are literally, who's got a landline? Some still have a landline. But if I have been without a landline now, heavens, I think I've been easily 10 years or more that I have been without a landline. If I'm doing it, a lot of people are. So how do you reach people in polling? He knows how to do it, and he knows how to do it, and he knows how to be accurate. That I thought was kind of a compelling story. And aside from he's saying, aside from the polling, I think one of the biggest results is that the trust in the media is gone. The alternative media basically shaped the outcome. Joe Rogan had a bigger role than MSNBC. Well, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Joe Rogan. I know many of you are fans, and rightly so. And I watched that Trump interview with Joe Rogan. I thought it was great. Time went by like that. Joe Rogan does these long form interviews with folks, and it's just that's a gift I don't have, for that kind of long form interview, to be able to sit and just have a conversation, because it's a conversation. Having a conversation with somebody like that for a couple of hours, a guy is just a machine, I think. So, and he said, the refusal by Kamala Harris to go on Rogan's show was seen by many as symbolic of the problem. If you're afraid you might lose a debate with a guy who quit martial arts because he was getting hit in the head too often, then perhaps maybe you're not presidential material. This piece. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, David's making a comment here about Trump starting the term as a lame duck. Yeah, which he really is. Hopefully Congress will work with him. There was a great interview, and I didn't catch the name of who it was this morning on the Fox News Rundown. He was talking about that, and he was talking about Republicans and now he's on the House side, the House of Representatives, and their ability to be able to get things done. And that they have been doing a lot of stuff, you know, moving bills over to the Senate that of course Chuck Schumer was killing. And so what he was saying is, we're going to get a lot of this stuff done. We have already, House of Representatives already had been managing to pass a lot of this as is, even though they've got, okay, a 1 vote margin, a 2 vote margin. There's a lot of rhetoric that's focusing on that 1 or 2 vote margin. And what he was saying, and again, I'm sorry that I missed his name. What he was saying was, even with that 1 or 2 vote margin, we're getting stuff done. The Senate has been, they're the ones who have been killing it, but we're getting the stuff done. So once Trump comes in, and now you've got John Thune as the Senate Majority Leader, and Thune's saying that he's very eager to, let's work more days. Let's have the Senate in session 5 days a week, and let's be working. Let's get the work of the American people done. It's what he seems to be saying. Well, now you're going to have the House and the Senate, it sounds, working hand in hand along with Donald Trump. I think great things could happen. But again, I don't want to become too optimistic. Let's wait and see how, once they actually, the new Congress is in session, let's see how it plays out and what happens. But there are those who are very, very excited that about what lies ahead, and they're ready to roll their sleeves up. Steve, I worry about this too. Wonder how many wars President Joe can get us involved in before he leaves office. I don't know. With this, what happened over the weekend in Syria, whether it's almost too early to tell as to whether good things will come from that. But we'll see. We'll see moving forward. I'm just trying to look through your comments and see if there's anything here that I missed. I don't think that there is. But I think what we're going to see from the president is more pardons. I'm just convinced that there will be more pardons, and we'll see what happens. I think that's where his focus is. I don't think that his focus is on. I wonder if at this point he's just more concerned about saving his own hide. Seriously, of that and his family. And I talked about this on the radio show last week, that the conversation then even among the Democrats was, well, we got to have pardons now for Liz Cheney and, Anthony Fauci and all of these other players. We got to have presidential pardons for what nonsense is this? I think there is more focus on Democrats, covering their own behinds than there is about Joe Biden in particular. I think is probably more concerned about covering his own behind or that of his family than he is about what's going on in America. And it's just, look at Donald Trump in this. Okay, Donald Trump in this overseas visit now, his first overseas trip to see the ceremony regarding Notre Dame and the so on, and the way he was received, the amount of time that he spent with people there, and the president's not even there. Jill Biden is there. First Lady is there. But, the show is Donald Trump's. And I think Joe Biden at this point, the things that are, he's out there I saw a bunch of his comments this morning, and he's taking credit for what happened with Syria and so on. And I thought it's the same thing from him we've always heard. And it's just nonsense. He's patting himself on the back. He's the reason that these things are happening. I think there are a lot of things that are going on. And I think if you take a look at what's happening between Russia and Ukraine, Donald Trump is right. This ongoing war with Ukraine has just drained Russia. And that's why we saw the regime in Syria collapse, because Russia couldn't give Syria the kind of support that they had been giving to Syria because they're so focused on Ukraine. So, I mean, are we going to see then some other shoes drop as a result of this? I think we very possibly might. And it'll take brighter minds than mine, I think, to foresee what some of those things might be. But I think Donald Trump is absolutely on top of that. Kathy's making a comment that I totally understand this. Preemptive pardons should be illegal. If you haven't been charged with anything, what is there to pardon? Yeah, agree. They're worried about Donald Trump going after them. And the thing is, if you're not involved with anything illegal, why are you worried? Donald Trump has made it clear he is not going after political enemies. In other words, he's not going to be jailing people because their politics are different from Trump's. He made that very clear again just yesterday on yesterday's interview on Meet the Press. Made it very, very clear. It's the Democrats that go after their political enemies. Democrats are the ones who do that. Look what they have done to Donald Trump. How they tried to put him in jail for the rest of his life. I mean, it's the Democrats who engage in that kind of stuff. It's not Republicans. Certainly not Donald Trump. So it's just crazy. Yeah, David says Jill is acting president. Certainly not Joe. Not the first time this has happened. No, absolutely right. Totally agree with you about that. And this administration cannot be over soon enough for me. I don't think I'm as worried as I was initially as to what Joe Biden might pull in terms of, I was very concerned, would he get the United States into war? Would he put us in a situation where it was going to be really, nearly impossible or incredibly difficult to extract the country from? And at this point, I just wonder if he's engaged in cover your ass. I think that's what it's about right now, is Joe Biden, doing what he can to try to, alleviate any potential pain for himself and his family. I'm going to leave it there for today. We're already at 30 minutes. I didn't realize I had gone so long. So I'm trying to keep these to a maximum of 30 minutes. So we'll leave it there for today. I want to invite you to please come back tomorrow. And if you would, hit the like button. It does make a difference. And especially those of you on YouTube looking for more, if you're watching on YouTube, and a number of you are, as I see by your comments, looking for more subscribers, was earlier this morning, 299, one short of 300. So let's break that 300 mark, and then we'll concentrate on, I do it in tiny steps, little steps. Then we'll shoot for 350. So one more subscriber on YouTube is all we need to hit 300. And I hope it's you. But thanks so much for letting me join you as you do every day. Very much, very, very much appreciated, my friend. You take care. I'll see you again tomorrow. So long until then. See you again soon.